My pokračujeme další prezentací, tentokrát tady máme pana George Stančeva a téma role úrody při výběru konopné léčby a je to za firmou Pure 5. Spíše si ho.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is George Stanchev. I'm from Pure 5. We've been 25 years into herbal medicine, fragrance flavor extraction, the last 10 within cannabis, mostly in the United States, Europe, Africa, all around the world. Today, I'm gonna hopefully get you out of your comfort zone knowing this plant, talking about medicinal benefits of the strains. How this works, how the nature creates those substances that bond with the human body vitals. Let's talk about the main components of the cannabis plant. Of course, the first one is the cannabinoids. Talking about the cannabinoids, they are over 70 different cannabinoids known for the medicine, from which first 10 are most popular: THC, CBD, CBG, CBN, CBC, THCV, and their acid form compounds. These cannabinoids, they work best by bonding to our endocannabinoid system, which was really a breakthrough discovery in the 70s, which proved that these cannabinoids are actually already in our body, and we need to add more and compensate for their depletion with aging. Although, beside the natural cannabinoids, there are some synthetic cannabinoids which we have to be aware of. What are the synthetic cannabinoids and why I'm talking about this? Because we all know this cannabis field started with the hippies, with growing this plant naturally. Even before in ages, the people were using this plant. Now, what farmers gonna do is not even gonna grow. They're gonna do synthetic, similar substances, which they also react with the endocannabinoid system. But not growing these substances, then there are gonna be certain limitations. When you imagine the plant, there are different levels of consciousness in the nature. And the consciousness starts from the, let's say, the microorganisms, plants, animals, humans. And each level of consciousness creates a different system of organization and generates these substances every time the same way. When humans decide to engineer these cannabinoids, there are certain rules to follow. On the left side, we see the natural cannabinoid, which usually has a head, body, and a tail. This is how bioscience currently assess the molecule. Usually the tail is a terpene, and the body is phenol, therapeutic compound. On the right side is engineered cannabinoid, which is created by pharma. You don't see the tail, you see a head and a body. Usually the body is the one that connects different radicals, like the acid phase, the phenolitic phase. They all happen here about this oxygen atom. And with having this synthetic cannabinoid, now just example, HHC, HHCP, all type of things that we hear, they're not natural. They cannot be obtained natural ways. There are 8 side effects, reported side effects by using synthetic cannabinoids. They also act the same. Okay, they'll get you high. They're gonna unlock the receptor, okay. But then, rapid heart rate, kidney damage, nausea, severe anxiety, psychosis, elevated blood pressure, all these things, and they're major. They can even lead to death if you overdose this type of cannabinoid. And the natural cannabinoid, we know the 3 usual side effects: red eye, thirsty, nausea. And even the third one is not so major in many people. So yes, be aware. When we deal with cannabinoids, we gotta work with nature. Nature is the best lab of creating organic chemistry, and that organic chemistry is built for our body. It's a mirror of level of consciousness to our body. If we talk about the chlorophyll and the and our blood's cholesterol, the difference is only in the central atom. In the plants is magnesium, into the human body is iron. Same thing with like endocannabinoids, they already exist in our body. We just add them into our body as well. The second important part of the active ingredients in the cannabis are the terpenes. There are there are about 20 main groups of terpenes, but these two of them are mostly residing in the cannabis plant. The monoterpenes and the sesquiterpenes. The monoterpenes are a group of organic chemicals with 10 carbons in there, and the sesquiterpenes are with 15 carbons in there. And when you look carefully, you already know a lot of this because you see them in the test report. Pinene, alpha and beta pinene, limonene, camphor, terpinolene, myrcene, and the sesquiterps are longer chains. There are 15 carbons, and humulene, bisabolene. So all this you already know. Beta-caryophyllene, it's all here. The second group is mostly popular into the hemp plant. The first group is mostly popular into appearing into the marijuana plant, THC dominant plants. But keep in mind these two groups, because we're going to talk about the previous in this slide a few times more into this presentation. There are more groups of the terps, which they also appearing in this plant. The 5-carbon chain heavy terps. The prenol is part of the cannabis terpene profile as well. It's part of the hops plant as well. Well, but no lab measures that. And when we talk about the 5 carbons into a molecule, this is a very volatile molecule. It evaporates at very low, literally ambient temperatures. There's another group of D terps, which is 20 terps. Lab doesn't measure for that too. But they're also an earthy compound. It's prenol is one of the most popular that is found in cannabis. Like when somebody talk about citrus, fruit, cranberry, blueberry flavor into the cannabis, and like tracks, that's where it comes from. That's why sometimes you get a test report, you have, let's say 80% cannabinoids and 10% terps. Oh, what's the rest? It doesn't, like usually you expect, okay, the rest is waxes and lipids, but you see the extract is clear, so it's not really that, something else. Well, there are things that we don't even know, don't even measure, and they have their own medicinal benefits in there. Mood control. There are 2 main groups that of health effects that cannabis do. One of them is a mood control. The dominance in the mood control is the terpene profile, and the cannabinoid profile is supportive, has a supportive function. While into the condition, the wellness, we have the opposite. The dominance is in the cannabinoids, and terpenes are supporting it. That's going to be the second section of this lecture. We're going to talk about how we can address certain wellness conditions. But now about mood control. There are certain conditions that are being defined by using cannabis. Aroused, creative, energetic, euphoric, focused, giggly, happy, hungry, relaxed, sleepy, talkative, tingly, uplifted. And there are strains connected to it already. There's been a research, and people, mostly this is kind of the people talking about it, saying this creates this effect, that effect. But also there is a science behind it. This study was done from Ethan Russo, very popular into the terpene cannabis science, in 2017. What does it say? There are 3 types of plants in this study. One of them is CBD dominant, one of them is CBD and THC 1-to-1, and third is THC dominant. That's the difference. The similarity is that terpene profile is exactly the same. And what is exactly the same? The dominating is the pinene. Alpha pinene, beta pinene, this is the dominating terpene. So you have myrcene down there. The result, all of the 3 plants, they improve the focus. The mood control depends on the terps. It doesn't depend on the cannabinoids. Terps are really the hormones of the plant. They're created to elevate different conditions. They're created to create subconscious understanding of your environment. And that's why when you're looking for relax or energy or focus, terpene profile is everything. That's why we have to be very conscious about selecting the proper strain for each condition we want to use it for. There are some examples. Strain for focus and energy. Of course, needs to be sativa. Why sativa? Because we are looking for uplifting profile. We're looking for myrcene, terpenolene, citrusy profile, peppery profile of cariphyllene. And out of this, look, there is one sesquiterp and there are 3 monoterps. That's usually a terpene profile. Like you have one base sesqu, which is a big long molecule, and a few of the monoterps, which makes the brightness, the full body of the profile. Well, I list the first 4. Imagine 14 of those. How they're going to look like. Usually, the first 4 they define the performance of the strain. That's what you get into when you smoke the cannabis. What you comprehend. So Jack Herer is typical for focus, and pinene is really the one that clears the head. That's the pinene. When they tell you go to the forest to clear your mind, it's not because the air is clear, because the pines, they emanate the pinene up there, and that kind of prepares your mind to the next level. Terpene poison is the energy one. Sweet and spicy, so we can go full discussion, but I have like another 10 slides with different strains. So let's go different conditions. Relaxation and pain. Well, close to mind is supposed to be indica. Yes, it is indica. So first, we're gonna be looking for relaxing effect. Relaxing effect, myrcene, there's some pinene and humulene. Humulene is usually more earthy and gets you into the relaxing stage. And then the cannabinoids, they help to go to the next stages of the relaxation. And we're going to talk about why you need one versus another cannabinoid later on. But yeah, let's say Purple Kush is good indica strain for relaxation and pain. Pretty much all the Kushes. Strain for euphoric, high, and happy. That will combine again a focus with energy and euphoric experience. So we're going to be looking for citrusy, which is really energetic. That's kind of all the energy drinks are based on citrus, not in a reason, of course. We have pinene again, and more citrus in there. So Larry Cake, Pineapple Express, good strains to be used for pleasant and relaxing experience with full body high. Strains for sex and arousal. Well, again, we're going to be looking for some relaxing and some energetic both together into a combination. So we see the citrusy here, we see the peppery, we see the herbal myrcene. So it's kind of a good combination, a blend of both ends. So Kush Cake is a good indica dominant, and Dirty Guru is a good sativa dominant. And we talk about that. It's usually cannabinoids. It doesn't have such high effect into the mood than the terps. Strains for focus. Again, we're talking about citrus, peppery, pine. You know, the best drugs that people are looking for, or supplements, are the ones for relax, the one for energy, and the ones for arousal. Wellness control. Those 40 conditions are officially approved by NIH that cannabis having an effect to them, one way or another. There have been a lot of papers, studies about each of them and how cannabis can help each of these conditions. The limitation of the current science, though, is that it doesn't take into account the terpenes. Because recently I saw a study that, okay, cannabis works for ADD, but it's neither works, neither doesn't on, let's say, anxiety. And why is that? Because they're missing the terpene study. For anxiety, you really need to add some of the relaxing effect and some of the focusing part of the terpenes in order to work better. And when you study the cannabinoids by itself, more likely you're going to miss the effect. I'm not really supportive the fact that you get a plant, extract the oil, and then you section it to every minor cannabinoid and you expect that to work somewhere. It's never the same. You take all the cannabinoids out, put them back, take the treatment profile, put them back, it's not going to be the same anymore. It's different. Just taking the treatment profile, putting it back is not the same plant anymore. That's why I just appreciate what nature puts together and use it as it is. Just find the right thing for you, because that's really important. Understanding that medicine is like understanding your body and understanding what the nature can do for your body. Few words, like everybody knows what is in the cannabinoid system now, but a different prospect to it. There are 9 different body functional systems: circulatory, respiratory, excretories, reproductive, nervous, muscular, endocrine, lymphatic, gastrointestinal system. And there are 2 types of receptors in there. Let's say in the brain there is CB1, let's say in the liver there is CB1 and CB2, same thing into the pancreas, CB1 and CB2. Every other one is separated, either CB1 or CB2. So imagine CB receptors as like the lock, and the cannabinoids are the key. So THC unlocks the CB1 receptors and CBD unlocks the CB2 receptors. That's why when we work on a condition in the body, we have to be conscious what we're going to apply to that condition. So if I used to have patients with pancreas cancer, and I used to give them 1-to-1 or 1-to-4 even CBD THC, because THC is 1 and CBD is 4. Because the CBD2 receptor it's more important into the tissue and immune system, while the CB1 receptors are more important into the cerebral cortex and nervous system, controlling the nervous system. That's why if we talk about Alzheimer or Parkinson, or every nervous-related condition, we gotta focus on THC. When we talk about intestinal or anything else tissue-related, we're gonna be dominant on the CBD. Usually the perfect, when you don't know what to do, the perfect combination is 1-to-1 THC CBG with 5% CBG. So that gives you the perfect combination for universal condition when you don't know how to apply. So there are plants like that also, 1-to-1 CBD THC. We're gonna see that in the next few slides. But keep in mind, endocannabinoid system was one of the great discoveries here, and it really connects the functionality of the plant and the human body. So strains for ADD. For ADD, what we usually, we need to have more focus. Like, again, it's gonna be a marijuana strain with a focused terpenes. So terpenes, again, we're gonna be looking about pinene. We have one sesquiterp, two monoterps, and we're looking at some THC performance of the strain. Green crack is very similar. Energy and focus. Anxiety. Anxiety, it's, we're going to be looking for some relaxing effect with clear focus. And in this case, CBD dominant strain is going to work better, actually, 70-30. And relaxing indica dominant terpenes with CBD THC 1-to-1 or 70-30. Strains for PTSD, post-traumatic disorders. So we have, again, energizing, citrus aroma, and relaxing indica effects into the terpene profile. But certainly THC strain. For inflammation, again, we're getting back to the CBD strain. Inflammation is tissue-related issue. So CBD dominant strain with some relaxing effects of the terpenes. Parkinson, CBD dominant with like a more like 50-50, 60-40 CBD THC with some again, focus-related, energy-related terpenes. Okay, a few slides about the plants. It's just important how we grow these plants, because a lot of those days you get some good, like, wood comes from everywhere, from Canada, from Latin America, from Europe, from United States, like, and everybody grows it differently. They have different grow habits, but Europe is meticulous about being the same. Even in Germany, they decided to go medicinally over strains. Like, they allow strains, they doesn't allow combinations of THC and CBD. You gotta sell certain strains, and that's the right way to do it. That's why I see the right decision. But these strains needs to be unified, needs to have a standard for them. They really need to, like, these strains needs to be stable. We have a registry for the CBD strains in Europe, but we don't have a registry for the THC strains in Europe, that they need to conform to certain parameters in order to be consistent. But in order to make it consistent, you need to really employ these things into your grow. Quality control, pest safety and management, nutrients, very important, what type of nutrients to bring the terpene profile high, because really 1 to 10 cannabinoid terpene profile, it's really the most pleasant experience from a strain. If you have only cannabinoid profile and terpenes are gone because you dry them too harsh, well, it doesn't work anymore the same way. That's why it's important to manage all these things and achieve a certain standards into the plants. And we're still early into this cannabis field to throw these standards, but they will happen. They will happen. Extraction challenges. Well, always the best experience is just smoking the plant, let's say in a joint, or doing some infusions in edible products, but sooner or later we're going to start dealing with concentrates, and the concentrates is the way the plant medicine works the best. I was working with plants since I've been, I don't know, 10, 11, and I figured, yeah, I gotta concentrate this, because you can have teas every day, but the effects are not going to be the same unless you concentrate the actives inside. So same for cannabis. If we concentrate the actives, we can really standardize and measure and make the medicine much cleaner. Because there are many things into the plant that you don't really need to take when you smoke it or when you infuse it. But when you extract it, your extraction method has selectivity. And really what you need to have in your extract for the cannabis is your cannabinoids, terpenes, and phenolic compounds, flavones. And those three really define the medical benefits that all this lecture is about. So important thing when we're extracting to understand each of these extraction methods that are available, because they all give us different results, and pick the right one. To figure out how any of these three compounds behave during extraction, and do we lose any? What is the efficiency? We're going to figure out the efficiency doesn't matter so much really, because the flower is in abundance. Most important is to have a quality extract, because that's what really, when you go to a restaurant, you're really going to look better for quality than quantity nowadays. So extraction safety, well, that's mostly for the processors, but you gotta be conscious also what this oil that you got from the store went through, because a lot of people doesn't even tell you when they purified, let's say, remove the THC from a CBD extract that went through hexane, pentane, and probably half is still there somewhere. Viability, again, these are consistency about every time you need to have, really the extraction needs to be seamless to the plant. Whatever you have in the plant, you need to get it into the bottle. You don't need, if the extraction modifies that, creates byproducts, compounds, and the extract doesn't work the same as the plant, is not what you really need. Okay, data collection. Different extraction methods. Now very popular is a solventless extraction method, because nothing else is allowed here in Germany and Central Europe, pretty much, for cannabis. CBD is different, but cannabis is very limited on the extraction. So rosin press, keep hash, base sifting, ice water hash. So a different way to do hash extraction. The positive, yes, you bring that cannabinoids and flavonoids and terpenes into their natural form. The negative, yields are low, probably around 30%, and you get a lot of wax, which you don't need to do, because the trichomes, they're the wax that they get into the extract. Solvent extraction, when you work with ethanol, it's fine, you can make distillates, but then you're losing the terpene profile. Really, you're losing all of the monoterps, and you're probably getting half of the sesqui terp, if not 1/3 of it. CO2 also very clean method, but it's good for distillates. On the terpene side, due to high pressure, it degrades the monoterps, and you extract only the sesqui terps. Hydrocarbons, non-polar substance, extracts pretty well the terpenes in cannabinoids. It doesn't extract too much of the flavonoids, and on the terpene profile, I see actually more notes on the monoterps rather than the sesqui terps. That's why when you smell hydrocarbon, very often you see different strains, but they smell quite similar, because the pinene and terpenoids are there, but everything else is suppressed. And aerosol extraction, which is something that we bring from the flavor industry, approved in the European Union since 1994 for the best flavoring extraction that brings pretty much a full terpene profile and cannabinoid profile into the plant, into the extract. So these are different extracts that we get from like cannabis distillate, out of the rosin, ice water hash, ethanol extraction before to be distilled. After distilled, it looks like that, and winterized. CO2 extraction after it's distilled and winterized looks like that. Hydrocarbon extraction and aerosol extraction. Every single extraction gives a different kind of output, and again, you have to be aware of what's inside. Like, you're gonna have some wax in here and here, unless you clean it up through winterization, it's not gonna look like that. But where are the terpenes here? So this is a simple chart of all the parts into the plant, starting hydrocarbons, carotenoids, which are the colors, diglycerides, like terpenes are here. Cannabinoids are also called terpenoids, because why terpenoids? Because it has an alkaloid body and a terpene tail, which makes it terpenoid. It's another name for cannabinoid. And the flavonoids here. Again, we have some amino acids and stuff that we don't really need into our extract. They're alcohol soluble. Then we have alkaloids, tannins, and other things that are water soluble. When you make a tea, you get this. When you make a tincture with ethanol, you get this. And when you extract with oils and non-polar solvents, you get this. And these are the different extraction methods. That's why, like when you get an extract from the plant, you get different consistencies, different things out of the plant constituents. And then everybody, like it says on the label, it's CO2 extraction. Okay, CO2 extraction. So many things you get from the first pass. 600 atmospheres, of course, it's poor plant, you get everything out. But then you have to narrow it down with alcohol, because that's the secondary step to clean it up. So you really into the CO2 extract, you get these constituents here, like from here to the end. When you do alcohol extraction, you get these constituents there. When you do a hydrocarbon or like propane, butane, it's this. And when you do aerosol, it's this. So really, a cleaner and nicer extract is in this side here, on the left side. And the steam. Steam doesn't really extract cannabinoids, only really sesqui terps mostly. That's why it's important to consider when you get an extract, to consider something that mostly preserves the actives that you want to see in your extract. These are examples, like not examples, pretty much study on flower with a terpene profile. There are like 24 terpenes over here, starting from myrcene, caryophyllene, humulin, bisabol, and like this way, and how they are affected by aerosol extraction. Let's say this is the live resin, and this is the hash resin. extracted. So this is non-decarboxylated, this is the carboxylated plant, extracted with aerosol extraction. So in the live resin, you see myrcene, caryophyllene, humulene. So they repeat themselves down, same proportions, 20 times more concentrated. And into the carboxylated plant, the hash resin, myrcene, caryophyllene. So they repeat the same way down, but 3 times more potent, because the cannabinoids are extracted with higher level in the extract. So let's say cannabinoids come with 80% potency and terpenes are like 5%. Well, into the live resin, cannabinoids are 60% and terpenes are about 40%. So it's very important to consider a clean extraction for your infused products or vape products or like anything that is using concentrates. Having terpenes into the extract immediately increased bioavailability. I gave an example with a paper of Ethan Russo earlier that terpenes, they modulate the cannabinoids into the mood performance. The same thing, they also increase bioavailability. That's another study from Ethan Russo, much more recent, that with the natural, not artificial, the natural terpene profile into the plant, it increases the bioavailability twice. You don't need to make it water soluble if the terpene is already inside. Preserved antioxidant activity. You know, maintaining the pH level normal is very important. Let's say CO2 extraction converts the moisture into carboxylic acid, which brings the pH down. That extract can extract with lower pH, acid pH, be medicinal. Plants usually are more alkaline in order to compensate for the acidity of the medical conditions in the body. Mitigate mold and yeast. A lot of extractions, they do that by, especially the non-polar solvents, they do that by nature. Not the polar solvents, let's say, like CO2 and ethanol. But non-polar solvents like aerosol and hydrocarbons, they will do that. Preserve the color. That's another mistake. Color is everything. Well, how it evolved in the United States, you see, first was ricin. Everybody liked it because of the medical benefits. Then clear came in the market and showed that the clear is better. Why? It's just because it's distilled, it looks clear. But the compounds that bring the color in there, I'm not talking about the chlorophyll, I'm talking about the carotenoids, flavonoids. These are the compounds that really have very high antioxidant activities. White blueberry has the highest antioxidant activity as a fruit because of that last compound there. As axanthin, I cannot even read it, but that is the compound that is also present in cannabis. That purple color from the trichomes, that's that compound. And that's what works on glaucoma. When you have a claim on glaucoma, it's not the cannabinoid, it's that compound. And when you distill it, where it goes? To the trash. So consider natural compounds into the cannabis because nature put them there by reason, and they work. We made some machines to do the extraction. I'm not gonna waste too much time talking about that, just the slide before the last. Compact and clean extraction, natural extracts with terpene profiles, strain specific, so different strain has different color, as you can see, and that's very important to follow because it's a flower. It has, from flower to flower, you have different appearances, so it is like we see the green side of it. But when we extract it, we see the trichome side of it. And the trichomes, they really have a character. This character you see in the oils. that was all for today. We have 10 more minutes. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Hey, wait a minute
Yes.
for a microphone.
I have two questions. First, all the medical benefits that you mentioned about the cannabinoids, do they apply to acid or active forms of cannabinoids? And if one of those, please explain the differences. And the second one is how much of terpenes you should add to the extract to have like optimal effect.
Okay. So the first question about the acids. I know that there was a paper from that Israeli scientist Raphael Mitchell that said the actives they're helping inflammatory and a lot of like inflammation mostly, and that's true. I don't have a lot of backup data to say, let's say there are studies that prove this and this, but your body can take so much acid. Acid, like, you know, in the nature there are, let's say, poison doses, not poison chemicals. So in this, in that regards, you can use acids. And when I usually extract, I mix live resin with hash resin, which is the decarboxylated phase, usually 1 to 4. I leave one section, like 25% out of it active phase, in acid phase, because I believe in that acid help. But really the key that unlocks the CB1 and CB2 receptor is the phenolitic form of the plant, the converted form. Like the acid phase has COOH radical into the body section that CO disappears after decarboxylation, and only the phenolitic compound stays after decarboxylation, and that's a better, like it's more bioavailable. That gets better absorbed into the body. So to answer your question, I don't have enough data to tell you how or in what quantities acids work, but they do work, mostly for inflammation. All other benefits are for the converted forms of the cannabinoids. On the second question, can you remind me?
How much of terpenes?
Okay, yes. Usually the magic ratio, I've seen looking at all these tests is 10 to 1. Like if you have 8% cannabinoids, 0.8% terps, 10% cannabinoids, 1% terps. Like usually in cannabis, like in marijuana, they're twice more than hemp. Like these are natural ratios that I see. And because we make vapes in the United States, usually I don't exceed these ratios, like 5 to 7% terpenes is the natural. I don't try to take them out and mix them up, because I mentioned earlier in the lecture that we did that. We extract the best terpene profile, which I call it full body. To compare to the full spectrum is not enough to explain how many terpenes are in there. When I send it to the lab and they see 200 peaks, they said, what the hell you used to extract it? They have a standard for 14 or 40, not 200. And that's why I keep the natural profile with as many terps are there, keep them the same as in the strain. But if you have to add them, they're not more than 10% of compared to the cannabinoids. Otherwise, it's too harsh. Yes.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Thank you, George, for a wonderful lecture. Usually we meet each other during the Cannafest, and I would like to appreciate your very interesting topics. As a physician, as a cannabis physician, I would like to ask you, we need to be more focused on the particular content of flower, cannabis flower or extract in order to advise it wisely and purposely to PTSD patients versus pain patients versus inflammation patients versus Parkinson patients. Saying that this particular strain may be efficient, it's good. It does not enough to doctors to recommend this particular flower because we do not have any indications. No clinical studies have been made in this topic. My question is, I have two questions. First is general question. If do you suppose that we should use only GMP produced for medical purposes, only GMP, or it can be homegrown or different source of cannabis in order to be used in the medicine first, and so different strains, even non-GMP first question. Second question is how to prepare the shortcut coming from the constituents and content of cannabinoids, other than to indicate some strains, because you know, if you have a Persian Kush had been grown in California and in Spain and in Israel, it will be different plant. So we need to be able to rely on the content other than on the name and genetics. Thank you.
Understand. Okay, about the first question. Example I'll give United States, and that's how I see it here as well. Because when pharma comes in, they'll rely on the doctor's prescribing it, and this we call it like a medical cannabis. And of course, everybody now in Germany and also in America can grow home 2 to 6 plants, 6 in America, and we call that recreational cannabis. So recreational cannabis moves ahead of the medical cannabis because people can do everything. It doesn't need to be GMP. They can grow their own things. I've been talking to people that have conditions, and they say, okay, I've been growing this and this and this plant, and the police raided me, got all the plants. I started again, and I figured this plant works the best for my back because this guy had a back problem and can get his hands even together so bad. And at that time, there were no labs to test it. When the cannabis got legal, labs were established, and he figured, okay, that was the plant with CBG inside, THC and CBG inside. So CBG helped for his back pain. He found his strain by just breathing around, but in his backyard. The science of cannabis, everything that I talk today is not going to happen tomorrow. That's going to take years because I probably need to draw a formula or system of like applying for each receptor, for each disease. It's a complicated structure to do, but saying, okay, this strain that has this and this and this is best to be used for this. And that probably going to be part of AI at some point. Like you type a strain and it tells you what it is good for. And that data, I see it can be systematic. It can be, it's easy because you have the terpene profiles, they are clearly known what they're for. You have the CBD receptors and you have the cannabinoids, and everything matches. It can be structured to the system. But that's too early to be used from the doctor for prescriptions. And probably the first thing is going to be by cannabinoids, and people I don't know, now can you prescribe concentrates or extracts? Yeah, because I heard that in Germany is only flowers right now. Extracts, yeah, okay. So I wish someday we did a clinical study years ago also about cancer and full spectrum extracts, and we figured out that out of 9 type of cancer, that was blood related conditions, leukemia, yeah, different forms, 8 of them full spectrum extracts in 80% resolves faster the condition than isolate, like example. And I believe that the full profile is going to be much more stronger applied into this condition. I just don't see it happening so soon into the pharma environment. That more depends on what freedom you will have also to prescribe that, because we can come up with a system, we can come up with some studies, maybe the club's going to be participating in that study, and because all this data that I put in there, it's from people testimonies, like this strain helps for this strain helps for that, and I collected that from the United States. A lot of data we can collect from the clubs in Germany, and we can make that system here. That's going to help. That's free study, literally, on the strains. But this is the future, really. Nature, in its most natural state, is much stronger, much potent, much more potent to resolve medical conditions. That's what I wanted to convey in this lecture.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation. And after a couple of minutes, we will continue with the next presentation. Thank you very much.